Hello, Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology, with the more political video. These are this it kind of makes me laugh. These are the ones that always get me the thumbs down, but that's all right. You know, give you a hug anyway. Don't know why you do that because it's an exciting time. It does make me laugh though. The mainstream media still kind of slay me. Um, I I would listen to some YouTubes this morning on my morning walk, and it ran on to one where all the talking heads were going, the crowds, the rallies. We've never seen this in the Democratic Party since Obama in 2008. And I'm like going, um, 2016, Bernie Sanders, my favorite Virgo, with all this mutable energy. But anyway, oh, if you weren't there, it was amazing. The crowds, the excitement, amazing. But I think it was a prequel to this. Okay. Because let's have a look anyway. I'm going to look at the candidates with this mutable and fixed Grand Cross energy that we've got coming up. On the full moon is a fixed Grand Cross, and around the full moon and leading up to it, we have a mutable Grand Cross. And I think it's very significant for everything. The political realm here in the US, of course, but they are kind of representative of what's happening in the bigger world. So let's have a look. All right. So Kamala Harris, we've looked at her chart. I've done some videos already. So um, I do kind of want to add in her own um, Venus star point. So she was born in 1964 under the first Venus star point, which was 28 Gemini. I can't remember the minutes, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. So come on, there we go. It's added. So you can see her start point there. I've looked at it on this is quite complicated. So I'm just going to look at the mutable energies. I could take the other things out. There's a lot of other things I could say about all this energy that's happening. But anyway, the full moon, the fixed Grand Cross, is on her Saturn, which has turned direct by progression, by the way. And it's she was born with Regulus at the last degree of Leo when Regulus moved into Virgo, a mutable sign at the end of 2011. But the full moon is is really close to her Mars too. And the full moon is also square to Uranus, which is right on her Jupiter. And I happen to know that Tim Wall's moon is there too. His moon is um no, is it his moon? No, his Jupiter's on her moon. Okay. No, but it's on her Jupiter. She's got a lovely steady Jupiter in Taurus, but this is kind of breaking her out. Uranus is going to retrograde and get station direct on her Jupiter, but on this full moon, it's opposing Lilith, which is talk to the hand, asteroid Lilith, who is the only solid representation of the Lilith archetype. She's a bit like this rebellious teenager who says, enough, had enough, talk to the hand, not doing this anymore in Scorpio, which is power games, manipulation, things like that, as well as other things. Pallas Athena is involved too, kind of the wise justice warrior. Um, you know, this is breaking patterns, and she's got that Saturn at the top of her chart in Aquarius, which is the sign of the people, and Leo, the sign of royalty, the king. That those two archetypes will be relevant as well when I look at other things. So, but Another thing, the mutable Grand Cross that I've talked about on the last video, which kind of peaks around the 14th if we go back days, but it's busy. It's around for ages. It's around, it kind of comes in again 2 days after the full moon. The full moon's on the 19th. It's around for quite a lot of the middle of the months. Okay. So, but I'm going to go back to one of the peaks, at least, which is when Jupiter and Mars meet and they're conjunct the north node of Uranus. And the Gemini star point, the current one at 14 Gemini. Now, because Kamala was born under a Gemini star point, this is her star point. And when a star point is your personal star, that's moved on back through the signs. I will be teaching the Venus star point very soon. So, please, watch for that. It's more significant for you. Okay. So the Gemini star point is hers. This is all, she was born with the north node of Uranus at 16 degrees. It does move slightly, but this Mars, Jupiter, north node of Uranus, exact conjunction is right on her north node of Uranus. This 28-degree star point was her star, the first year of the star, 64. Think back to the 60s, civil rights. She was brought up by parents who actually, were involved in the civil rights movement in the 60s. She was brought up as part of that collective zeitgeist, okay, the civil rights movement. She was born with Pluto in Virgo, so she's very much Generation X. She was born with Pluto and Uranus in Virgo, which is even more Generation X because I'm kind of that in-between boomer, Generation X. I was born with Uranus in Leo still, but Pluto very much in Virgo. I've never identified with boomers, but I'm not quite fully Generation X. She's Generation X, supreme. She was also born with Venus down there in Virgo. So she's got that kind of want to serve women, the people, want to be that priestess energy. Venus in Virgo very much one who is whole unto herself. She was born with all this opposing her Chiron, so she's got that strong mutable energy in her chart. In her chart, she's also got Pallas Athena, the warrior, the wise warrior again, in Sagittarius, obviously the South Node in Sagittarius, Juno, sacred partnerships in Sagittarius, and you'll have to look at the other video to just talk about that mutable Grand Cross energy in total. But this is her time. This mutable energy is just breaking her open. You'll hear a lot of focus of that Saturn going over her Chiron. I've already talked about that. She knows that. She's been mastering that Saturn transit for so much time. She's just passed her second Saturn return, which is an amazing time, I can tell you, because I've gone through it. She's also just passed her fifth Jupiter return. She's coming up to her Chariklo return very soon, which was amazing. I picked the word grace for the year I had my Chariklo return, and that her name actually means spinner of grace, and that's in the ninth house of justice, truth, the court. This is all like she is gonna bring in this more integrated energy of information and truth. She's gonna bring all the molecules and the parts together. Well, that's what's happening. That's if she follows the nudges, and she is so far though. but she's feeling this integration of self into the whole. I feel like she feels like this is, my mission. This is it. This is my time. It's about synthesis of things. She's bringing Republicans into the party already. It's such a short time. She's bringing people back to vote for her. She's bringing people back to these, you know, tribes and things. She's bringing people back into this community. She's unifying, and she picked a partner who in crime who will do that too. So let's look for his chart and just it's gonna look confusing because I am going to put him as chart 2 to say, look, he was born as well with Pluto and Uranus in Virgo. They were born, very close together. Look, he's only a little bit older than her. I know he looks older. Don't want to hear any more of that. They've got very good synastry, but I'm not talking about that really. I'm talking about this mutable energy. Because they're so close, he's got all this mutable Grand Cross energy as well that just really hits with everybody. He doesn't have the these quite the strong as or quite as strong connection with the fixed Grand Cross. So that's, I think, why she is at the head to kind of break this pattern with the full moon being on her Saturn. His Saturn is at the top of her chart by connection. I think that's that big dad energy, to be honest. It's like this big dad energy as well as Jupiter on her moon, big dad energy. You can't make this stuff up in times. But anyway, their charts are highly activated by all of this energy. They are here to bring more unity or to at least start that, bring it into center, to bring the single components that are part of the whole back in. They are here to consider multiple factors. They are here to consider, like, they're bringing like small town America back in, you know. I studied really American studies in UK in college, and it was an interdisciplinary, which is very multiplicit as well. But it was modular. We studied history, literature, film, sociology, geography, all of those things. And small town America was one. And you think of the myth of America, it's small town. It's like that pioneer, all of that kind of thing of modern USA. I understand, the Native Americans, but incidentally, Walt's replacement will be the first Native American female governor. So, you know, that's another change, another shift. Anyway, but I live out west. I live in Utah now. I feel like I was kind of meant to be here to witness all of this. And it makes me tear up because we drive through the small towns. We do a lot of road trips, and the small towns are in a mess. They're dying. The properties, people are leaving them. There's no opportunities there. And if we carry on with the way we were going, like public education being gutted and all those things like that, those towns would just die. We won't have any small towns. We won't have any people really doing the farming of the land in the small towns. All that stuff that Tim Walz is from. We're a town of 400 people in Nebraska, West Point, Nebraska. Who's ever heard of that? And then it brings me to this Virgo generation, that this mutable energy now is just activating off the charts and breaking free. It's saying it's time to get back to that Virgo energy of chop wood, carry water, be of service, do useful, practical things, get back to the working class. You, call it whatever system you like. I actually think it's going to be a new kind of system. It's just going to be sensible, which is very Virgo and very practical. It's just amazing. So, anyway, I've got to, I suppose. I just think their time is done though, but I will show you why quickly. So, one. Um, so there's Donald. Let me see if I can find Vance. And JD Vance 2. Now, I've looked at this briefly before, so I'm really going to look at are their angles. Yes, Donnie has a lot of Gemini energy too. That's being very activated, but it's on his nodes, and a lot of it, the Virgo Pisces side, is squaring his nodes, which is a big turning point, and I think it's not a good turning point, if you like. But anyway, it's more about the full moon that we have coming up. So go back to the full moon, Louise, and on the 19th, the full moon, 27 degrees, Leo, Aquarius, the moon being the people in mundane astrology, is opposing both JD Vance and Donald Trump's ascendant descendant line. Basically, it's on both of them. And Uranus right at the top of the chart with Algol. We saw that shooting happen when Uranus and Mars were conjunct Algol at the top. You know, I'm glad he wasn't killed, because I think it would have been terrible for the country. And, I don't wish anybody dead. But also, Vance has got this Mars in Scorpio, which is not that pleasant. The full moon is squaring that. And to look at the bigger kind of generational thing, Trump is Pluto in Leo generation, and I think he's done, you know. Um, they are not of that Virgo energy. They are not of that more humble, more service-oriented energy. Both of them, even Vance is even though, where's his Pluto? I can't even remember where he is. He was born at the end of Pluto in Libra. So if you look at the social scientists and a kind of energy, he's a millennial, but Pluto in Libra and Pluto in Scorpio are quite different. But he was born at that critical last bit of that generation. But I think what's more important is that his son is on Donald Trump's Leo, Pluto. And, it's clear it was a bad choice. And I think his kind of collective role, if you like, sorry, his ascendant isn't there. It's his Venus that was there. No, I haven't got the time. Actually, his ascendant is in Leo, I believe. I created this chart before we had the time. But Donald is the main one. Collectively, that energy is done, and with Biden too, it's, he was the fixed, he's Scorpio too, and the breaking of that energy affected both of them. That kind of boomer, that kind of whatever you want to call it, that energy that's reigned for years. Add in the fact that Regulus, the royal star, moved into Virgo in 2011. It's time for this more working class again. more humble, more um, humble beginnings, all of that kind of energy. It's just time for that. And the shift will not happen overnight again, or it's happening really fast. But there you go. That's a quick look at it. I could have said loads of aspects and things. There's so much happening that kind of add to it. I don't see much point in going through them all. It just kind of goes, look, I could prove that I'm right by doing this one again. But believe me, time gone, time now. Whether that's why I invite people just not to get too stuck in the actual people and maybe their history and what they've done, because the mutable Grand Cross is also asking us to change our ideas, perspectives, and how we look at things and evolve with what's changing in the collective. So I've changed, in many, many ways. And I think we all have to. We have to be prepared to. And I'm going to tell you one other big thing that I notice. And I'm actually going to share Bernie Sanders' chart because I'm a Bernie Sanders girl. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate, national delegate in 2016. He's one of my favorite Virgos. Keanu Reeves is my other. But look, his son is, look at this. I'm just going to get the transits again. All of this Grand Cross is activating his Virgo sun. And he's got a lot of Gemini energy that's activated then. He was kind of a preview of this. And his nodes are also in the mutable, changeable energy and really being activated by all this. The bigger difference, again, it's not about him as a person, again, but he ignited those crowds in 2016. And do you know what the biggest difference was and why it's very Virgoan? Is that, just listen now. Donald Trump is always I. And Hillary Clinton in 2016 was always I as well. Yes, she would have been a better choice. Can't litigate that. And she was right about Trump. But in her debates, whenever you heard her talking, it was all I. Bernie Sanders was always we. And Kamala and Tim are always we. That's Virgo. That's practical. That's of service. That's finding meaning. That's more humble. It's saying it's not about me. It's about us. In fact, one of Bernie's slogans was, it's not me, it's us. Um, just, if you want to be in line with the collective flow of history and you live in the US, you drop all those petty, like detail things and just vote for the way history's going, because mutable energy is chaos too. It's exciting and it's chaos. But also, I can guarantee if there's enough of a big margin of win, that will deflate any of this intention to fight the election results. So, see you next time.